to Movie Review Mom. If you are returning as a subscriber, thanks for coming back. I really appreciate your support. And I have good news. A couple of subscribers said that the audio was not sounding great. And I readily admit that because my microphone just died. So the good news is I ordered a new microphone and it's supposed to arrive tomorrow. And so the audio is going to start to sound a lot better. So thanks for your patience. I always read every single comment that you guys write and I take action on it. I'm trying to grow my channel and improve it. So I really appreciate all of that. All right, so the movie I'm reviewing today is called 1,000 Little Cuts. This very dramatic movie by Vision Films releases on video on demand on May 3rd, 2022. It's rated R and is 87 minutes long. So in a nutshell, a young woman wakes up injured in the hospital without any recollection of how or why she is there, while a compassionate psychologist helps her journey through repressed memories and incidents leading up to the traumatic event. An impatient police detective pushes for answers. As facts begin to surface, the young woman's subconscious fights to keep the truth hidden. So the film was written, directed, and even produced by Joshua Brandon. Now, I was kind of surprised when I learned that the movie was created by a man. I just assumed that it was a woman based on the nature and the story itself. And so good for you, Joshua, for showing the perspective from a female and how she's living these experiences. All right, let me tell you the things I liked and didn't like about the movie, as well as tips for parents, interesting lines, and even recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also like. So the list of things that I like includes, first of all, a bunch of new name actors. There are not big named actors in this movie, but you might recognize a few of the faces, which include Marina Sirtis from Star Trek: The Next Generation, Rebecca Lydiard from Alias Grace, Andrew Creer from Lethal Weapon, and Randy Wayne from Dukes of Hazzard: The Beginning, and finally Colin Ferguson from Eureka and The Vampire Diaries. So I always appreciate getting to know new actors and young actors. I also enjoyed the whodunit element of this story, as well as the non-linear method of storytelling. I thought it worked pretty well in this. And just when you think the story is over, it keeps going with another twist. So keep watching. There's an interesting conversation about how often we make convenient edits to our truth. And I also thought it was interesting that one of the characters pointed out that there's no verb for truth, yet there are many for telling lies, like if you're lying or twisting the truth or deceiving, that kind of thing. But there's no other way to say truth. I'm truthing, right? And so I thought it was a clever insight, especially because the protagonist in the story is an editor in her day job. The title of the movie itself comes from another insightful line in the movie. Now, I don't want to give you any spoilers, but I thought that that part of the movie was really interesting. Now, there were some things I didn't like or thought could have been handled better. And first of all, there are a lot of flashbacks as the timeline jumps back and forth. And so that might be confusing for some viewers. Some of the characters are super cliched and paper thin, especially all of the men in the story. Most women who watch this movie are probably going to go away feeling angry and confirmed in their belief that all men are terrible, and they're not. I have a wonderful husband and 4 awesome sons who are good and kind men. So while this movie definitely paints a picture of toxic masculinity, I think, which is bad, I think the good element of the story is that it can open up conversations for men and what kind of men you should be, what kind of men you should look for if you're dating men, you know, that kind of thing. Other elements are that, first of all, there are just way too many crude images and conversations and scenes for my taste. There's a lot of sexual content that made me uncomfortable. There are definitely some bad acting moments and even overacting moments, but overall, I thought the cast did a decent job. So some tips for parents are, first of all, this movie is not appropriate for children. However, if you as a parent watch this with your teenage daughter or college age daughter, talk about what you think Anne did right or wrong throughout the movie, because I think that can lend itself to good conversation. There is some profanity and crude language, as I mentioned, including lots of F-bombs. The first scene isn't graphic, but it alludes to a rape. And then after that, there are some fairly graphic nude and sexual scenes. You see inappropriate texts and crude conversations, as I mentioned. Some of the themes that are illustrated well in the movie are premarital relations, slimy sales and marketing, dating, pharmaceuticals, dissociative amnesia, abuse, relationships, PTSD, repressed memories, toxic masculinity, truth, and healing. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines and record them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So when you got a minute, go over there and check those out. But I'll share a couple of interesting lines with you right now. One of the lines is spoken by Anne, played by Rebecca Lydiard, and she's the editor. And so she meets this guy through text, through a dating app. And she says, punctuation is a thing for me. She's instantly interested in this guy because he actually has good spelling and grammar. And I laughed because I can totally relate. There's a little bit of grammar Nazi of me inside me. And so that's kind of a thing for me too. And then another interesting line is spoken by Monica Atlas, who is the psychologist. She's played by Marina Sirtis. And I thought Marina did a really good job and made some really good motherly advice to young women that are watching this movie. And so she's talking to Anne and discussing relationships, and asked what kind of relationships she's had with different men and that kind of thing. And so they're talking about physical abuse. And she says, even if he didn't lay a finger on you, disrespecting your work, making you feel unimportant, that's abuse. And so I thought that was an interesting line and certainly worth conversation. What is considered abuse? Physical, sexual, emotional, and that kind of thing. That would be a good conversation to have too. All right, so overall, I thought that the movie can spur on some very good conversations. And the filmmaking was pretty basic, but my overall movie review mom grade is a B. So let me give you a recommendation for another film, not that it's like this, but because it's actually mentioned in the movie. There are a couple of scenes where this girl, the protagonist, Anne, is watching this movie with a guy, and actually they don't watch it, they make out during the movie, but the movie is mentioned. It's called Touch of Evil. Now it's an old movie, but I thought I would mention it. If you've seen it, comment down below. Let me know if it's worth watching. I actually haven't seen it, but I saw that it was mentioned in this movie. And so I wanted to have you let me know if you've seen it and would recommend it. All right, that's it for my movie review. I hope that if you do watch this movie, that you do take something from it. And if you watch it and didn't enjoy it, comment down below that too. I always love hearing from you. All right, that's it for my review. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.